Hello and welcome back to Green Money Momentum, where we talk about market movements, making money, and money momentum. And today we're going to be talking all about DJT, and not just the president, but the stock as well, Trump Media and Technology Group. And the stock took a bigger hit today as the stock was down 12% between the normal trading hours and then the after hours as well. And when we zoom out and look at the trailing 12 months, so the last year for DJT, when we draw out this major support level that we have been talking about, the stock has now retracted under this level. And so this last year, we have been talking a lot about this support level right between around $21 to $27. We had been trading here for quite some time as we were going all the way up. We were up in the 50s right before the elections, and then we started to see a lot of bad halting and manipulation, which put us in this sideways channel. But now we are drifting lower in what looks to be kind of a free fall. And so now many investors may be wondering, what is next for DJT? Will we see a bounce in the near-term future, or is this stock just bound to collapse to nothing? Well, I'm going to be talking all about the news regarding DJT today, and then also doing a technical and fundamental analysis of this stock as well. But before I do that, I want to say, as always, that this is not financial advice, and I always recommend doing your own due diligence before making any financial decisions. So let's first talk about the news with DJT. So when we just talk about our president in general, what did send the markets down lower today is Trump did have an interview, and he was asked about the economy and the possibility of a recession. He said his reply to that is he hates to predict things like that, but there is a period of transition because what they're doing is very, very big, and they're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing, and there are always periods where it takes a little bit of time. It takes some time. And so many investors did get spooked from this. The overall markets did take a hit just off this news, with us being back into looks like correction territory when it comes to the NASDAQ and soon to be the SPY. Many investors are thinking that this is the time when the markets crash. And then when you get the president not saying that we're going to avoid a recession, that also spooks investors as well. But you know what I appreciate about this when it comes to Trump is that he was honest. He didn't just tell a bold-faced lie. And so we know investors over the last couple years have been very frustrated, especially when it comes to the Fed, because they just always rule out a recession. So they say there's no possibility of it, especially when we see all these indicators lining up. And so talking about news too, we have been seeing a lot of bearish news lately. And the next bit of maybe bullish or bearish news that we may be seeing that could shift the markets, and the initial bearish news that shifted the markets is all about the rate cuts. And so let's remember, right now we are facing the three-headed dragon when it comes to fear, uncertainty, and doubt. We first have inflation, then we have the fear, uncertainty, and doubt about the tariffs, and then third we have the interest rates. And the interest rates is what the initial fear started off with. And so the markets were pumping green in anticipation for Trump getting back into office. And then at the end of December, the Fed had a meeting where they said that they weren't going to do 4 rate cuts in 2025, but instead just 2. This sent the markets roaring down. Things started to get crazy. And since then, it seemed that things have just gotten worse. So the next meeting is going to be on March 18th to 19th. And so rate cuts aren't expected to be cut here, but if they do get cut, if we do see a change of course from the Fed, which isn't impossible, we have seen that before, we could see a nice flip in the markets. Even if we don't get a flip in the markets in the near term because of the Fed cutting rates, that may come later down the year. Even if that doesn't happen, I want to ensure my DJT investors that those who are investing into DJT big money, they are investing for the long term. So when we talk about insiders, let's remember that in February, there were some insiders that were gifted some big shares. So we had Kash Patel, we had Linda McMahon, we had Donald J. Trump Jr. And so they were all gifted shares as part of the way they are helping Trump with everything that he is doing. We know that Kash Patel is the current FBI director. Linda McMahon is on the health board. Of course, Eric is his son. And so all these insiders are holding DJT, and the contract with them to hold DJT, they need to hold some of these shares shares till at least 2027. I forget the exact percentage, but it is a pretty big percentage of the shares. And so also with these shares being gifted, all these individuals are now underwater from where they were gifted those shares as well. So if Kash Patel got these in February, the stock was closer to around $30. And so you better bet that Kash Patel, especially being so close to Trump, is going to be holding for the long term. And right now, while we are feeling this fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and while we have broken under this major support, I also want to encourage my investors to remember that my overall analysis and everything I talk about with DJT, myself, I am holding for the long term. So I entered my investments back in September with DJT, and I am holding for the next 4 years of this presidency. I think there is going to be a lot that happens, and I think it would be foolish to sell out at its current price. Under $20, let's just call it $20 basically, 5 shares for $100, I think is a steal. And then when we just talk about the overall technical analysis on DJT, let's pull that up right there. Let me go to the advanced here. When we talk about the overall technical analysis on DJT, currently we are trading under the 200-day moving average. We are trading low on the RSI, and then we are also trading low on the MACD. And so overall, everywhere that this stock sits, it looks like it's at a really good spot to buy, especially like I was saying, when we draw out this big support level right here, we are trailing under it at this moment. And so I don't want to put a price target of where DJT could go next. Right now, again, we are in a little bit of a free fall state. So where it could go could be anywhere. If we see the next major support level for DJT, and I hate to say this, but the next major support level would be right around $12. If that does happen, what I encourage investors to do is start to load up at this $12 range, because this would be an absolute steal for DJT. And the multiplication possibilities just to where we saw the halting and manipulation would be great. 12, 24, 36, 48. That would be a 4x just to where we were manipulated with this stock initially. And I also want to encourage investors to remember that DJT is not just a truth social platform. And talking about that again, when it comes to the truth, I like that Trump did not fib about what could happen with the economy. Again, he's trying to really make America a lot more wealthy with these tariffs, and what has to be done has to be done, even if it means some short-term pain. But yeah, so just talking about the truth, he's not just DJT, Trump Media and Technology Group, is not just a truth social platform, but they are also diversifying their investments as well. And so we know that Trump recently had a big White House event revolving all around cryptocurrency, looking to have a Bitcoin reserve. And this just further is on the path of what we have talked about with DJT for a long time, and that is the mass adoption into cryptocurrency. So we do know that they also had an investment with Charles Schwab not that long ago, which was up to $250 million, and that was to have crypto services. And so they're looking to invest into crypto and do crypto ETFs as well. So this was a crypto ETF of being a Bitcoin ETF, a TruthFi Made in America ETF, all that. And when we talk about cryptocurrency in general, crypto has had a pretty bad dip lately. So despite all the pro-crypto events that have been happening at the White House, the talks of the crypto reserve, all that, the Bitcoin and all cryptos have taken a little bit of a dump, just like the overall market. And so with DJT investing into cryptocurrency, you could think of them kind of like MicroStrategy, where these investments are going to start appearing on their balance sheet and in other ways. And so with DJT investing into cryptocurrency, you better believe that with the next pop into crypto and into Bitcoin, we could see some of those gains in DJT as well. And with DJT, I see a lot of intrinsic value, but even if you don't see a lot of intrinsic value, let's also remember too that this stock does sometimes get thrown around as a meme stock. Although I see the intrinsic value, I don't think it's a meme stock. Being in the meme stock category isn't necessarily the worst thing, because what makes stocks a lot of the the times run is hype and momentum, fear of missing out. When we look at the Reddit mentions when it comes to DJT, we could see that there are not too many mentions. And so a lot of investors have kind of forgotten about DJT since there was the drop off following the elections and then right after the inauguration. Many of these momentum investors may have been expecting a pop just from DJT getting into office. And so with that not happening, a lot of these investors have now paper handsed out, and that makes me even more bullish on the stock, as I believe that we are oversold, and all we are going to need is a big pop in the markets. With these tariffs, we have seen Trump talk about the tariffs and negotiate with Canada and Mexico. We have seen two waves of these tariffs. So we saw the first tariffs. They were just a negotiation tactic to better improve the border security from both the Canadian and the Mexican side. And then we've seen these tariffs come up again, but they have been delayed by Trump. And so they do look like just an overall bigger negotiating tactic. I do believe in what he is doing long term. And I think right now, just because of the uncertainty, we haven't really ever seen tariffs, at least not in most of our lifetimes. With all this fear, uncertainty, and doubt, the markets just haven't been reacting the best to it. Again, we do have the rate cut meeting coming up soon. If they cut rates, that may be a positive. I don't count on it. I think the markets could continue to bleed. Regardless, if they do continue to bleed, I think that this is a buying opportunity. Let's remember that during times of retraction like this is where cheap stocks get cheaper and great plays get cheaper for you to buy the dip for when they recover. A really cheap, crappy stock is going to take that dip and just going to continue to fall down. Those are stocks without any true intrinsic value or any company behind them. If you've been following my channel for a long time, I don't talk about all the different stocks in the market, but I just isolate my channel down to a very few. Big Bear AI, DJT, SoundHound, different great companies that I think are at low prices. With DJT being at this price, I consider this to be a blessing, especially because we saw when the halting and manipulation got really bad, it was right around the $50 range. I think when overall sentiment in the markets flips and we see some good news, maybe some rate cuts down the year, or we see these tariffs actually working in Americans' favor, I think that we're going to see a big pop in DJT. But I would love to hear what everyone else has to say about this stock down in the section below. So please drop a comment, please leave a like, and please subscribe to the channel. And let's remember, during times like this, we just need to fight. Thank you guys so much, and have a great day.